Now we're going to be using the tutorial mod that we've been working on throughout this series, so if you haven't seen how I created that, then definitely go back and watch those videos. Okay, so on the left is our mod, on the right is the games files. And the first thing we will do is create a religion family type. Now you don't have to do this, you can just add your religion to a current family type, but I'll show this for anybody that wants to do that. I always recommend going to rename, copying that and then paste it, because as you see here, like you might accidentally make a mistake like this, and I put type and not types, and then that will stop your mod from working. Now we will go into here and then into here, and then we can copy this file over and open it, and then in here you will see we have all the current religion family types. So this top one, for example, will hold like Catholic religions and stuff like that. And then what I'd recommend doing is just copying one. So just copy in from the top bracket to the bottom, and then you can name this whatever you want. So we just call it tutorial religion. Now this hostility doctrine, you can actually edit this. I'll show you how to do that. If we go back to our file here, we're going to want to create this folder here. So we're going to need doctrine types. Then we can go into there, and we want to copy this doctrine religions. And then if we open up this here, so we can just copy, say, the pagan one here. And then again, just place it at the bottom. Then we'll call this tutorial. This is basically how hostile other faiths are. So obviously if they're in the same religion, 1 will be more astray and 3 will be more, say, evil. So then you set your numbers like how you want, and then you will just save this file. And now if you see, we've created this here. So this will be our doctrine name. So we will copy that, close that file down, go back to here, and we can just paste that into here. And obviously this tutorial bar, you can obviously name whatever you want. And then we don't need to worry about anything else here. So we can just save this. Now we go back to the religion folder, and we need to create a folder called religious types, and then go into that folder, go into the games folder, and then as you'll see, all the religions are listed. So the best thing to do will be just to copy any religion that your religion is similar to. So like if you're going for like a Christianity type religion, you can just copy that. We're just going to copy the Germanic one as we copied the pagan religion family. And then this we can name, right? So we can just put our religion name in here, and then we can open this. And basically this is where all the fun happens. Now if you remember, in our family type we created this. We want to copy this line here, and then up here where it says family, we want to put that in there. And then that will basically add this religion to that family type. Now here is where you will name your religion. So we can just call it tutorial religion. Now you will need to add all this into a localization file for the game to read it, but we can do that later. Now this is our doctrine that we created earlier, which will be this one here. So we would just copy that and paste it into there. And now moving to the doctrines of the religion. If you just want to use doctrines that are in the game, they will be in doctrine types. If you open this file doctrines, you will see that all here, right? So you just like simply copy this and then paste it into here like that. And you can do that for all the doctrines. But we will take it one step further, and I'll show you how you can create your very own. So we've already got the doctrine types folder. So we just go into that, then we just copy over this file here. And now we open this file. Now you probably can just rename this file and just have your separate ones in there. But I'll just show you how to edit this file. So we could just copy this, for example, here, and then paste it down here. So we can just call this, say, doctrine tutorial marriage, right? You can obviously name this whatever you want. And then this here will be the value of what it costs when you create the religion, like in piety. And then what this if command does is, if we put our doctrine in here, it means if you're creating a faith that's part of this religion family, then it means to multiply the cost. And then where the fun stuff happens is down here. So you can obviously check the other games one, so you can see number of consorts here. So we could just put that there. So you could have like 1, or you could go crazy and put 9. Like, you know, you just got to remember, if you put high numbers in here, they have to fit the UI. So you might have to get a mod that actually changes the UI so they can all fit on there. And then this line here will basically mean that a ruler will lose piety if they have less than the amount of spouses that are allowed. So like if you have 4 spouses, but then you only have 1 spouse in the game, then you will lose piety. But one thing you don't want to do is like add everything to this one doctrine. So you can have 4 like marriage doctrines. So then what you do is you just copy this here, and then we will just put this into here. And then all these doctrines here, these are basically self-explanatory. If you want to find them, you just copy this name here back to that doctrines file, and you'll see that it's here. Again, you can create your own if you like, or you can just use other base game ones. Then you have your traits, and then if you have your own trait, you can just put it in there like that. Just remember not to put like commas like that, just make sure you just put a space between them all. And then names is used for like when you have children in game. You can put whatever names you want in here. Just make sure if you put a name that's not already in game, you create a localization file for it, otherwise the game won't read it correctly. Now custom faith icons, they will be in coat of arms. So if you go back to the common folder, this is the base game, remember, they will be in templates lists and colored emblem lists. So you just open this file. Obviously if you want to create your own, you will copy this file over in the same folder structure into your mod. And then if we search for that, so if we search for custom faith, you will see it's here, and then these will point to the GFX folder. So if you want to put your own DDS files in there, you can, but we'll get into that a bit later on how you can add your own icons. But basically this is the location if you want to add your own custom faith icons. So the holy order names are the names that the game will call when it creates a holy order for your religion. So you need to copy over the holy order's localization file, and then you can rename it, and then inside here is where you will put your holy order names. And if you want to use like these special bits of code here, which basically calls like your god names or like religious symbols, for example, if you wanted this one, you could just copy this, put that there, and then the name of your holy order will be here, and you'll just change this first part here. So then it'll be your holy order name, and then warriors of the, and it will get your religious symbol. But if you just wanted to call it whatever you want, you could just do something like that if you wanted to. And then like I say, what happened in game is when it creates a holy order, it will use one of these names that you have here. Now your holy order men at arms, if you go to the common folder and then you want to go to men at arm types, I believe that particular one is in this folder and they are here. So if you want to create your own men at arms, you can just copy over this file into your mod. You can probably create your own file as well. Just make sure that it's in a folder called men at arm types in the common folder. And then same thing, you just copy from this bracket to this bracket, write all your own stuff in, change this to whatever you want to call your men at arm type, and then obviously create a localization file for it. And then you'll basically put that name into here, right? Now all this localization file stuff, this is for like the names of your gods and priests and stuff. So to give an example, we just put tutorial high god name in here, and then we'll have to put localization for that later. Okay, and then down here, this is where your actual faith is. So the way to think of it is religion is like, say, Christianity, and then the faith is like Catholic or Orthodox. So you can create multiple faiths if you like. So you have this faith here, which is from this brace to this brace, but you have the faith, like you see faiths equals, you have to make sure they all fit in these braces. But we would just have one for now. So our faith, we would just call tutorial pagan, and this will be your color. If you want to get a rough idea of what color that is in RGB, then you could just do 0.4 times 255, and then that will give you 102. So the RGB code will be 102, 102, 102. So then if you find a color that is RGB, you could just do 102 divided by 255, and then that will give you the number to put in here. There probably is an easier way to get that number, but that's just kind of how I do it. Now these icons we spoke about before, they're in the colored emblem list if you want to edit those. Now, if you want to create your own tenets, then you will have to go to doctrine types and then it's core tenets. So if you go back to here, you just copy this folder over here. So if we open that and then search for any of them, like you can see all the stuff is here, right? So you can just copy one of these and then add in whatever you like. Now with the latest version of the game, there's one really important thing you need to do. So you need to copy doctrine group types. And if we go into there, we want to copy over this file here. And then if we open this file, you will see that it has all the doctrine types. So this is important if you've created your own. For example, if we go back to this one we created here, this was a marriage type, right? So you see we've got all the marriage ones here. So we want to add ours into there. The game will actually probably crash if you don't put this in. And you have to put all the doctrines you've created in here. So like if you created a divorce one, you'll put it in here. And then obviously if you created your tenets, you have to put them in here as well. So you just add it like this in here, right? And then we'll also need to put in the one we added into our religion family, which was the hostility one. So we will copy that over, and as you can see, that goes up here. So we'll just paste that in there like that. So now we are in game. We're just going to test our religion. So we can just do that. And then as you can see, we've not done any of our localization yet. So these weird names are expected. Now what's happening here is because we've got 4 tenets, it's pushing the UI like off the screen. Now you can get mods that adjust this, so you can get like a UI mod for custom religions. if you do want more than 2 tenets. But you can see our marriage type is here. So we've added that in. But testing so far, all looking good. We can just delete these because we obviously have this tenet here. We have this one, and then we have these 2. So that's our 4. And then put whatever we want in here. Now, one other thing we can do is if we go to the base game files on the right here, so basically into the games folders where you got the common folder, you want to go to GFX. And if we go to GFX, we go to interface, and then we go to icons, and then scroll down, and we have faith. Now in here are all the faith icons. Now I've shown quite a few times on how you can actually create DDS files if you haven't got like Photoshop or something from a PGN. So just go and check that out. But basically once you have your icon, you can then place it in here. So I'll put one in here for tutorial, and this will be our faith icon. So then what we can do is where it says Germanic here, we can just put these little quotation marks, and then we can put GFX, and then we can point the game to where that icon is. So all I've done here is I basically pointed to the folder, so GFX, interface, icons, and faith, right? And then we need to put the name of whatever our icon is here. So you can see it's tutorial.dds. So we will type that. And now that means for this faith, the game will point at that icon and use it. Oh, and also if you have created your own tenets, then you basically want to go back to the icons folder, and then they will be in Faith Doctrines. And then this is where you will put your tenet icons in. And then you will just do the same thing, point it to that file, and then it will use whatever image you put in here. So now I'll go over covering holy sites. So if we create a folder called holy site types and copy over this file here, open that, and you will see all the holy sites are in here. Now you can create your own if you like. So you could just copy this, put it in here, call this name whatever you want here. Then obviously put whatever county you want it to be in. This will also link to the title, so the game knows if you actually hold this holy site or not. For the parameters, like you will see Jerusalem conversion bonus. Basically that's a flag to the file in script values. So I believe it is in called chaplain values. You'll find it in this file here, and this will point to 2 parts. So you'll see it adds this value here to your counselor, which will be a little further down, I believe. So if I just search for this, and then you'll see within the same file, you have this part here. So this is where it actually applies the effect. You can see that here, the multiplier, which is 0.20, which if we go back to here is your 20% county conversion rate. So as you can probably tell, like this is quite complex, so I don't want to go too much into it. This is how you can actually create your own parameters if you want to. But if you don't want to do that, obviously you can just copy any of the modifiers here. And then once you've either created your own holy sites or you just want to use whatever's in the base game, it's this name here. So now if we go back to our religion and we scroll down, and then you will see our holy sites are here, put them into there, and it basically means we need these holy sites. And when we do get these holy sites, then this is the effect that all the followers of the religion will get. Now obviously I'm not going to create any holy sites today, so we don't actually need this file. But that is the file you will need if you want to copy over. And then if you did want to create your own script values, you then need to also create a script values folder. And then the final thing we need to do is go into our localization folder, and then we need to create a folder in here called religion. If you did create your holy sites, it will be here. Now, if you remember, we created this tutorial high god name. And the reason I picked high god name is because you'll see a lot of this root code. And then what this will do is it'll basically be failure to submit oneself to, and then it will put your high god name in there. But without making this too complicated, you basically just put whatever you called, like anything in your religion that needs localization. And then you will just put the 2 little dots and then the 0, the number 0. And then you will put quotation marks. And then whatever goes in the middle of these is what it will be called. I've deliberately not done a lot of the localization because I wanted to show you what you could do while you're in game. So once you have your mod and you actually go into game, you see it's not reading any text here. I mean, obviously that's because we've not put our religion name in. But what you can do is you can now type that code, right? So we got doctrine tutorial marriage name. And then you see the updates in real time, right? So some of these will update in real time, but I wanted to show localization this way because then once you're in game, you can actually see what needs to be changed. But you can see everything's there. We have our tenets, we have our logo. So the last thing I want to cover is how do you get that faith into your game? Well, obviously you can select it in create a character. But if you want to play as a character that's already in game, one thing you can do is you can create a decision. So I have it set up so a lot of people within your realm will also like take that religion as well. And then how we did that is we create a folder called decisions, go into there, this is our file, And then if we open that up, and then you can see this is what we have. So basically it's shown if you don't have the religion, and then within the effect, we just add the religion to our character, and then every courtier, and then every sub-realm county.